Peace and the mercy and blessings of God be with you. Thank you for joining me for this continuing discussion on 30 Days to a Better You. We look at habits, traits, and behaviors that we can develop one day at a time during the month of Ramadan so that by the end we emerge as better persons. So yesterday we were talking about strengthening the spiritual heart. Today we turned to a new subtopic, and that is about controlling the tongue. And under controlling the tongue, we are looking at avoiding backbiting. Can you imagine a scene that will occur on the Day of Judgment where a person shows up with all kinds of good deeds? They have prayed, they have fasted, they have performed Hajj, they've given charity. And, to all appearances, this is a righteous person standing before God. And yet, that person becomes bankrupt of all of these deeds on the Day of Judgment. It is mentioned that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, asked his companions, do you know who would be a bankrupt, who's the actual bankrupt person? And they started to think about, a person who is devoid of wealth and so on. But the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, no, it is that person who shows up with all of these good deeds, but at the same time, he has harmed somebody else. He has said a bad word about somebody else. He has backbitten somebody. And in order to equalize the scales on the Day of Judgment and to bring about justice, God is going to call on him to compensate his victims. And he won't be able to compensate with the currencies of this world. What will he compensate with? He will compensate with the currency of the life hereafter. And that is good deeds. So his good deeds will be taken away and given to the people that he has harmed in various ways, including by backbiting, until he is left penniless in terms of the life hereafter. And when all of his good deeds are exhausted in this way, even the sins of the people he has harmed will be taken from them and piled up on him. So he will really be in an abject state of poverty in the life hereafter, and of course, with sins to bear from others as well. So what a dreadful outcome. So when we think about the religiosity of people in this life and we measure our own, we should be careful. Are we backbiting other people? Because if we're doing that, then we could be in the eyes of God the most miserable of persons. Did you know that the Quran says in Surah 49 let me say what it says, and then we will go back to an analysis of it, so I don't confuse my analysis with what the verse actually says. So the verse says, وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا أَيُحِبُّ أَحَدُكُمْ أَن يَأْكُلَ لَحْمَ أَخِيهِ مَيْتًا فَكَرِهْتُمُوهُ. Do not backbite each other. Does any of you wish to eat the dead flesh of his brother? No, he will consider that hateful. So with this, the Quran is guiding us to think that eating, like backbiting another person, that's like eating the dead flesh of your brother. Imagine that a person is dead before you. Their dead body is there. And instead of giving that person a nice and decent burial, wrapping that person nicely, perfuming, and the shroud and so on, and perfuming the body and placing that body neatly and respectfully in the grave, you're starting to carve up the flesh of that person and eating it yourself. So that's horrible. It's quite shameful to do something like that. And yet the Quran is saying that when you backbite the person, this is what you're doing. So usually, when the person is not around, that's when people say bad things about them, and somehow they feel good by themselves. They feel good, like it's like I'm better than that guy. Look at that guy, and we're telling stories about the other person. So the other person is not there to defend himself or herself, just like that dead person in our presence is not able to defend himself or herself. So why not pick on a live person for a change and see how that goes? So the Quranic imagery here is quite apt, and it's in fact quite moving for us to think about the way in which we harm other people when they're not present. Now, if somebody asked our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, messenger of God, If what we say about the person is true, is that still backbiting? And the Prophet, peace be upon him, reportedly replied, yes, indeed, that is backbiting. But if what you say about the person is false, then this is slander. This is a higher category even, because now it combines the harm you're doing to the person with actually sharing false information about that person. So we should avoid both the backbiting and the slander. How do we get started with this during the month of Ramadan in particular? Well, when we are fasting, we are not fasting a fast of silence. It's mentioned in the Quran that Maryam, the mother of Jesus, was fasting such a fast that she could not speak to any man at that time when she was fasting, as we know from the 19th chapter of the Quran. So we Muslims are allowed to speak when we are fasting, but we're not allowed to speak bad things. So we're not allowed in particular to backbite other people. So be careful about this. While we're fasting, we're avoiding putting food and drink into our bodies, but let not the evil words come out of our mouths. And most Muslims would recognize they cannot swear and use foul language while they're fasting. Well, when we are backbiting others, this is also very bad, and we should avoid that as well. So let us look at some practical tips. Sometimes we start saying good things about a person who's not present, and then we say, but. The moment we start thinking of this word, but, we know we're going to switch gears and start backbiting the person. So stop right there. You have to stop yourself in mid-sentence, and sometimes we have to be brave enough to be able to do that, to admit that, wait a minute, I was going to say something wrong. Let me not complete it. People are like this. When they say something wrong, they find it difficult to take it back. And even while they're about to say something and they know it's going to be something wrong, but they just want to complete the thought. They don't want to stop themselves in mid-sentence, even to admit that they're about to say something wrong. But it's better that we stop ourselves in our tracks right then and there, rather than to commit the wrong and then be sorry for it and have to pay for it later on. And sometimes other people come to us and they start gossiping about other people. It's good to stop that in its tracks right there and find a polite way of doing it. So just say, you know what, in principle, I don't talk about other people who are not present. Or you might say to this talebearer, you know what you're mentioning is a good point. You feel that that person has this thing wrong about him or her. Let's go talk to that person about it right away so that we can help them to correct that, whatever it is. So that talebearer or gossiper would be shocked about this and be horrified about the possibility of going to talk to the other person. And that will stop this backbiting and gossiping and tale-bearing. So these are some practical tips. There could be more, but you can work that out yourself. In the meantime, continue to join me for this continuing discussion of 30 Days to a Better You. Tomorrow, under the same subtopic of controlling the tongue, I'll be dealing with steering clear of lies. Peace be with you. Assalamu alaikum.
If you enjoyed this video, then please support us this Ramadan. Here are 3 ways. Thank you, and may God bless you and your loved ones today and always.